you're going to do it, the audit should be worth it. The problem is, audits are hard. Yet we've issued over 20,000 reports to 2,000 clients worldwide.
We are not just there to do the engagement, but we wanted that partnership for security and compliance.
Cybersecurity and compliance will no longer be a mystery. Hey everyone, welcome into our Cybersecurity Mission podcast. My name is Allie Krings, and today we're sitting down with Kevin Zach. Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm excited to sit down with you, learn a little bit more about what it's like for a company who's wanting to get maybe started in this process. So before we do that though, I want to learn a little bit more about you. Tell me about your background.
I've been working in IT now for 25 years.
Okay.
I've done a little bit of everything from programming, networking, now doing cybersecurity.
Okay, tell me how this gets started though, because I do feel like when I meet most, 4 and 5-year-olds, they have like aspirations of like astronaut or actor. How do you go into IT?
I started off at a young age as my father was into computers. We had a computer at home, and I started playing computer games and learning the computer.
Okay, tell me about the games that you had then.
Oh, back then they were all text-based, and so nothing fancy. It was the early to mid 80s. So I just grew a passion from there.
Are you still playing video games?
Of course.
Okay, great. So I'm glad that some things never change.
Right.
So here you are with Kirkpatrick Price. How long have you been with Kirkpatrick Price?
A little over 4 years now.
Awesome. And your role here is as lead practitioner? Mm-hmm. So what does that mean?
So as a lead practitioner, I take new auditors and train them and take the best practices and show the entire team and learn the industry and take it back to them.
So in this episode, we really want to talk about, the companies who are considering, getting started in that auditing process. And why don't we just start there? What is kind of that first step to getting audited?
The first step is typically a client is requiring this organization to be audited.
Okay.
So there has to be a requirement, a real need. Very few organizations do audits because they're not fun, they're hard.
I mean, I don't blame them for thinking that, right? But it's so important to be able to do
Exactly.
that. So let's talk about that company who might be listening to us today saying, I want to get started. What should they know going into this process?
Well, starting before you get into the audit is to know your systems, your software, your inventory, what you need to protect.
Okay. So what does that include? I mean, I think we can all look around your physical office, maybe right now even, and you're like, okay, great, we have some computers. It looks like we, have some printers. I bet in those file cabinets, there's probably some important documents. Is that kind of it, or what other things are you looking for?
It's all encompassing. It's physical, it's your software, your data, even your people are part of the audit.
Wow. So how does a company start to get prepared? I mean, that feels like it's a lot, right?
It is a lot. So you want to reach out to a knowledgeable expert to walk you through, guide you through, talk about policies and outlining what you need to protect and suitable controls and security. It is daunting to begin that process.
Well, I think, yes, it's daunting, but it would be far worse to be on the other end of it, right? And sometimes when there is just that lack of preparedness, that's what caused that scaredness. Not to get a little Dr. Seussy on you or anything, but when you have that preparation in place, then you can feel confident when you're working with clients.
Yes, and your clients can feel comfortable working with you that you've taken the safeguards and have be prepared and have been audited so they can entrust their data and services with you.
So what are some of like the questions that you get from companies who are starting this process?
It can start from the beginning that what is even a SOC 2, what is a PCI?
Let's talk about that.
Right.
What is it?
They're frameworks. These are industry requirements. And so they oftentimes may not even know what their clients are requesting, and they call us to find out how do we get started, and that's where we begin that conversation.
So when they're asking you those questions, I mean, what are your responses? Are you just gathering notes at that time, or maybe after reaching out to somebody like yourself, a lead practitioner or an auditor, where do they go from there?
We begin to ask what they do.
Okay.
What is important? What is sensitive? What is their clients' concerns, and why they need us as a third party to conduct their audit.
What types of companies do you see reach out, wanting to start this process?
Oh, it's industry-wide, from healthcare,
Yeah.
manufacturing, software development, you name it, banking, financials. There is a compliance framework and standard for them.
I'm sure somebody who's listening to this podcast right now is saying something like, does it even apply to my company though? Maybe it is only for hospitals, only for banks, right? So has that ever happened where you have maybe a client or somebody reaching out and you're saying, nah, you don't really need to get audited?
No. And oftentimes it's the small, medium-sized companies who are hardest impacted by a breach, the loss of reputation, and they often think, well, I'm too small, nobody's going to notice me, but they're often the target.
Can you explain that a little bit further? Because that does feel really shocking. It seems like it's going to be the big companies, those world-renowned corporations, that they're going to be the ones that, have that error. But in reality, it can be some of those smaller organizations.
It's all organizations, big and small.
Yeah.
They need to safeguard their data and their clients' data, their people, their assets, big and small. That needs to happen.
So let's go a little bit further into this, because there is a big why, right? Like the why do we need this? And I think for anybody who's joining us today, they understand they want to get started, they want to protect their data, but you look at your computer right now and you're like, yeah, I have a password to my email. Yeah, I have a password to even get onto my computer. But having a robust, cybersecurity posture isn't just having those passwords in place. There's a lot more that goes into it.
Absolutely. So the reason you need these safeguards in security is because your enemies, the threats, the hackers, they will sell your data, they will ruin your reputation, they will have ransomware, and you want to avoid all of this and continue to serve your customers.
How often does it happen that you're maybe meeting with a client for the first time and you're expressing like some concern, because that's generally why you're meeting, right? There's a concern of a potential threat or vulnerability. So how often are they maybe during the middle of it like, nah, you don't have to worry about us?
Typically, if they're reaching out to us, they understand the importance.
They get it.
They do. They get it.
Okay. Tell me about when we start this process, we've reached out to you, what happens next? I'm going to start, listing all of the things that I have in my office, or how does this work?
We'll begin talking about critical third parties and vendors. If you're in the cloud, if you are self-hosting, we'll get some baseline information, and then we'll begin the discussion of a kickoff call, and we'll talk about some of the successes. Personally, I've conducted over 100 unique audits for new companies.
Wow.
So I often tell them we are here to be a partner and guide you through your first process and be that partner that you need right now. We know you're nervous, but we're going to guide you through it and help you in your security and compliance.
When you say new companies, how new do you mean? Like, is this something that every new company that's, a year old should do? Or is this when your company's maybe 3 years, 10 years old that you should start looking into it?
Well, but when I say new organizations, new businesses, these are new companies coming to us for their first audit. And typically they have a large customer, a client, who is requiring them to get this within a certain time frame or lose that contract.
Wow.
So they're under a lot of pressure.
So I know we can't dive into super specifics here, but can you share with us maybe a finding that you've had where that is the setup, right? The client's coming to you saying, hey, we're trying to secure this customer. Walk us through maybe some of the experiences or findings that you've had success with where they've then been able to secure that deal.
Oftentimes, the information technology department is doing appropriate cybersecurity,
Yeah.
but they're missing policies. They're
Okay.
missing procedures, and that's where we can help them with. And then other times we have found that they do not have best security practices in place and are very vulnerable to attacks even that day, and we immediately notify them so they can take action even before we complete the audit.
Wow. So I think what's really important as well with an audit is, of course, there's going to be, cybersecurity based areas that you check out, right? But you just mentioned physical security as well. That's a really important aspect that maybe doesn't come top of mind.
Absolutely. Oftentimes our physical office, we have sensitive data that is not protected. We have badges that have not been returned from personnel who've been terminated. So we like to be on site. We like to come on board and take a look around.
So you've just given us like a great example about where, getting started in that audit was really successful. Can you give us an example maybe where a client has come to you after missing out, whether it's with a customer or realizing that, hey, our data really isn't as protected as we thought it was?
Absolutely. We have found organizations where client information was not encrypted and could be exposed to the internet.
So let's say that we've started the process, we're, working with you. After our audit, what happens then?
We continue the partnership. It's not just an engagement. We are there to help them fix any findings, help them prepare for their next audit or additional audits. We are not just there to do the engagement, but we want that partnership for security and compliance.
When you say next audit or audits, how many are there going to be and how regularly should these be occurring?
They are typically annually.
Okay. And why is that?
That's because things change over time. Organizations, they might do great in January,
Yeah.
and something happens and people are laid off, downsized, right-sized. Things happen. And so their customers want to be assured that security and compliance is done sometimes throughout the year, but at least annually.
One of the most interesting things I think about the time that we're living in is it feels like regularly we're getting updated with new technology, we're getting new assets or new software, whatever it may be. And for a lot of us, it's going to help make business more efficient or better or smarter or faster. But those are also things that really do need to be vetted out.
Exactly, especially just now, ChatGPT,
Yeah.
generative AI. All of these are new, and companies are racing to catch up on how to handle the vulnerabilities, security, and compliance with this new technology.
So if somebody is just getting here, let's just break this down one more time. Why would a company want to get their first audit?
To satisfy a business requirement, verify they are in compliance, to get better, and to find that partner, such as with Kirkpatrick Price,
Yeah.
that they can grow and be secure.
It's such an interesting, I think, call out because obviously with an audit that you're kind of looking for, I mean, you are looking for vulnerabilities, right? And you're looking to patch those up. I think one of the big things that we have to call attention to is it's not just about pointing out these areas of weakness, but really about that growth and that strength. So could you share with us maybe an example of where you found a company was lacking in an area, but after their audit, they were able to come out even stronger?
Oh, absolutely. That is one of my most favorite things, is to return to a company to see where we visited them, they had their first audit,
Yeah.
and we partnered with them and changed their culture of security compliance. They went from being vulnerable, not patching, to being excited to find areas of opportunity to improve.
Is that difficult then? I mean, I would assume you have to change quite a bit of your current policy or procedure then. So is there a bit of a growing pain when you get the audit back?
It is. It can be a shock.
Yeah.
to find out through your first audit. But we partner with them to pinpoint the high risk, the critical areas, and help them with solutions and not overwhelm the company. And
Yeah.
the growth is exciting to see, and they're excited oftentimes for their next audit to show off the great work they've done.
Well, Kevin, we've had such an incredible conversation. I know we have just a couple of minutes left. So before I let you go, what are some of your final thoughts around this topic, or something that maybe we didn't cover that you want to make sure we talk about?
Finding a partner and not just
Yeah.
an audit is really critical now with the ever-changing compliance landscape, the new privacy laws that are coming out almost every day. It's truly important to find a partner and not just an audit.
Awesome. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
When you work with a Kirkpatrick Price cybersecurity auditor, you work with someone who's been in your shoes. Let's see what the next expert is ready to share to support you in your cybersecurity mission.
Hi, my name's Kurt Warren. I work with Kirkpatrick Price. I'm a information security auditor. Been with Kirkpatrick Price for about 5 years. Have over 30 years in the industry of IT security. Going to be talking about business continuity, disaster recovery. Ideally, you want to get some guidance from executive management on what some of the critical business functions are within the organization. Once you have that alignment, ideally start with kind of an inventory of what some of those critical processes are. Once you get that understanding, conduct a business impact analysis to generate some recovery time objectives and recovery point objectives. Those are ideal. Those are a necessity to ensure that you're restoring your environment or in case of an emergency. You want to document key personnel, critical systems, critical processes. Backup and recovery is ideal. You want to make sure that's in place, that's taken care of. It ensures your environment will get back up and running. There's a lot of good resources that are out there. Kirkpatrick Price website, there's a lot of videos, a lot of blogs. There's some industry accepted websites, NIST, CIS, as well as all locations within the United States, local governments. They'll have a lot of good resources on how you need to prepare, what you should be preparing with in order to ensure that not only you as an individual, but also as your company is able to survive and recover after an event.
Are you ready to join a community of 10,000 people who are working together to elevate the standards for cybersecurity and compliance? It's free to sign up at kirkpatrickprice.com/podcast or check the show notes and achieve greater levels of assurance today. Thanks for joining us on our cybersecurity mission.